Is it possible to predict when a relationship won't last? And more importantly, can your prediction knowledge help you adjust to get it back on track? When we speak of relationships, of course, we're talking about intimate relationships, but in this video we'll also include other vital relationships that are part of your life. No relationship is perfect. Most include some form of conflict, most irritate you to varying degrees, and have aspects that you could call toxic. That said, at what point can you pronounce the relationship a dead man walking? Let's start with the insights of world-renowned marriage counselor John Gottman. Gottman has been studying marriages his entire career, and he claims that he can predict whether or not a couple is going to get divorced with a 91% accuracy rate within the first 10 minutes of meeting them. What does he see that gives him such an accurate predictive ability? Gottman first looks for what he calls the harsh startup. Have you ever had someone start a conversation with, "We need to talk," or "You did it again," or angry at something with little interest in facts? Starting with animosity puts the other person on the defensive, and you in a place where facts won't inform you. A much better approach when you notice a problem issue or missed expectation is to start with curiosity. How should I be thinking about, or I noticed X, I had this reaction. Help me understand this from your standpoint. With curiosity, you're much more able to see clearly the other person's perspective and reduce defensiveness and create outcomes you can both live with. Conflict happens, but starting with curiosity puts you on the path to creating a mutually satisfying outcome. By the way, if you start with curiosity but get gaslighted in return, I would put a fork in the relationship because it's done. Gottman also looks for what he calls the 4 horsemen. Defensiveness is one of the 4. Stonewalling is the second of the 4. That's when a person shuts down and won't communicate. Some will feel flooded with many emotions, which leads them to stonewall. Contempt is the 3rd. That's when a person attacks your character or assume a position of superiority. Run, don't walk from a person who shows this. The final of the 4 is good old criticism. Critics are a dime a dozen, and if you're dealing with someone who lives to criticize you, the relationship won't last. When you see any of these 4 horses, hold up a mirror and let the other person know how it's affecting you and your ability to reach a solution that works for both of you. I'm feeling defensive right now. I don't think we can create the best solution right now. Let's cool off and revisit this. I'm seeing you attack me simply for bringing up a concern. This won't put us on a path to resolving this unless you can adjust. I don't put up with anyone who shows contempt for me unless I must deal with them. In addition to the harsh startup and the 4 horsemen, pay attention to physiological distress. If you've been allowing the conflict in your relationship to go on for so long, the anger isn't getting resolved. It will show up in your body. Body distress might show up as ulcers, backaches, neck aches, or you start drinking more. When you notice these things in your body, take note of the extent to which you're able to resolve conflict in your relationships. You may need to kill a relationship before it kills you. Or if possible, heal it. The final thing to look for is what we'll call narrative shifts. This is when you describe your partner or other person in negative terms or frame memories as negative. When you first met, she was free-thinking, whimsical, and fun. Now she's an airhead who can't keep a job. It could be the same behaviors, but the narrative about those traits or behaviors have shifted. Gottman might call this narrative shift criticism, or if it's a permanent negative narrative, contempt. Sometimes the person has changed, and sometimes the only thing that has changed is your narrative about them or the past. If you notice a narrative shift, become aware. With awareness, you have options to begin to appreciate them once again, or perhaps your negative assessments of them hold water, and you've simply seen them as they really are. Most relationships come with imperfect people with a past who are navigating complex emotions. If you can keep these issues discussable, able to respect each other, and reach mutually satisfying agreements that both of you intend to keep, you can create a sustainable relationship. And if you notice Gottman's 4 horsemen, defensiveness, stonewalling, criticism, or contempt, you must either adjust or put a fork in it because it's done. If you got value from today's video, like the video and subscribe to the channel,